Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, the 4th of July, 2023, and I did do a video this morning already, and it was over an hour long, and it had a lot of good content in it. And I was dressed differently, yeah, and it for some reason got corrupted when I transferred it to a different hard drive, and I wasn't able to recover it. And so, really, really frustrating, and it's just been a series of just bad luck events non-stop now for the last couple of years. And because even like last week now, my Jeep, broke down on the highway in traffic, and transmission. And there was also suspicious stuff as well. There was no warning light, no nothing, and so this possibly could be like something done intentionally because of everything else that I like has happened in the recent past that I have video and on the record proof of. Just one of those other things. And then when I popped the hood, the brake fluid cap was off, and beside like the compartment and stuff like that in an area that it wouldn't have fallen off with driving and stuff like that. But I didn't do that. I didn't take the cap off, and so was something done to the vehicle, and it's still in the shop and delayed because of Canada Day and stuff like that, where there was 3 days where it was not even open, and so really frustrating things. And I'm supposed to be going to the SBZ for stuff, and yeah, just and then I had a barbecue this weekend for Canada Day that was planned in advance, and so this vehicle issue really impacted that. And but anyway, people still did come. I had about 20 guests. It was amazing. It was all family, and rain, but it didn't stop the events. But my biological father was supposed to come, and he had a heart attack on Friday, and so he was literally in the hospital and was not able to come. And I believe he's still in the hospital today. He was yesterday for sure. I don't know if he's released yet or anything like that, just because it's still morning, but it's late morning now. And it's just like so many things like back to back. There's so much on the go right now that I'm not even saying on here. But yeah, I digress. Happy Canada Day to everyone that celebrated and is still patriotic to the country. And then today is July 4th, so happy Independence Day to my fellow Americans. And I hope you have a great kick-ass day as well. And yeah, any reason to celebrate and be around friends and family should be something that is further enhanced and supported and enabled, and not vilified and condemned or canceled. And so yeah, like I wanted so many friggin' like I had so much good content in over an hour long video, but I'm gonna try to get through the stuff as well and hope I'm not redundant. But there's a lot of stuff that I've passed on and that I've said for years, well in advance before these events have happened, and called them out, and or said that events were staged and planned, that people didn't believe me, and it's all coming out. So Trump with Russia, Russiagate, whatever you want to call it, like that was proven to not only be not true, but the opposite of what was happening. And it was actually Hillary Clinton and her staff that was there was like with the foreign interference. And the JFK assassination, I was saying that for many years, and showing proof. People didn't want to look at it. People were calling me a white wing supremacist for saying this stuff. I don't even know how or why. Weird. And then stuff with Jeffrey Epstein as well. I've been calling this out for many years, and so have others. So it's not just me, but more and more stuff coming out. And I'm just saying this because people didn't believe me, and this stuff is stuff that has impacted my work, obviously, and my relationships with everyone. And why is it important? It's because his list involves high-ranking officials like celebrities, actors, people within government, heads of corporations, that are in and around involved in human trafficking, including children under the age of 18 years old, 19 years old, wherever you're from, and what you would classify as a child or not, or adult. It's happening. It's increasing, and it's also directly involved and complicit with like the drug cartels and things like that as well. um, Iraq war going in there, no weapons of mass destruction. Nord Stream being blown up by people within NATO. Like people were trying to say that was Russia. That was not. People thought that Snake Island, like that there was people that were Ukrainian that were defending an island, died by Russians. That was a lie. I called that out. The Ukrainian spokesperson that was saying like about talking about the war within the beginning, within the first 2 months, she was fired because she lied, eliciting emotional responses in people throughout the world, claiming that there were Russians that were raping Ukrainian women, when not only was that not true, but it was actually the opposite, and it was members of the Azov battalion and militiamen or people coming from other countries that were committing crimes against people within the areas that they were operating in, and exploiting the most vulnerable within the societies, and so not helping, ladies and gentlemen. And also this being, I'm going to remind people again, a proxy war that is not helping anyone, and the billions of dollars that Canadians are pushing into it, we're not giving it where it needs to go, right? To our own soldiers, to our own military, first responder types, our Canadian defense, especially because of the like the geopolitical environment and where we are in regards to this flat multi-dimensional earth plane. So this is a simulation that's being projected on a flat plane of inertia, like I've said, and so many others, and like via hyperboloids and toroidal fields, and the luminaries above, especially the sun and moon, being electric and magnetic in nature, and their energy can be fostered, fostered, or utilized in ways that we used to utilize them, and what we're not doing now. There used to even be moon towers, and the moon does impact the tides, yes, and the ebb and flow of water, more specifically saline water, or water with salt in it, and not so much freshwater areas, and and we are saline beings, we're electrical magnetic beings too, so that's why the luminaries impact us as well on this geocentric earth plane, and the zodiac signs, like it matters with our birth charts and stuff like that, because these luminaries above are not planets like we're being told they are. They are pulsating frequencies, vibration particles, whatever you want to call it, above that are yeah, like emitting like a luminescence, but within a contained dome, a contained environment, which is why also like lighter gases, rays and denser objects lower, and it doesn't just stop on a flat plane. It can also sink. So when Newton was doing his theories of relativity and stuff like that, and like discovered gravity, no, he didn't. If you take a ping pong ball, I've said this in so many videos, and you take a ping pong ball, a piece of wood, no, I'll make this even more simple. Like ping pong ball, I used a helium balloon before, and then I believe I used a rock, so just to keep it simple. And so when you throw them in the air over water, the ping pong ball is going to float. The helium balloon is going to like rise. It's gonna like raise up, and then the rock is going to sink. And so like what we call magnetism, or sorry, what we call gravity, or whatever we're going to call it, is just like when there's a like a mass that occupies a space. If it's more dense than the space it occupies, it's gonna lower. If it's less dense than the space that it occupies, it's going to increase until it gets ultimately to like some kind of a barrier, whether it be like a physical barrier or an energetic barrier of sorts. And so like this is with the dome above as well and below. I don't know necessarily if it's a physical barrier or if it's an energetic barrier, because I have not gone that far up. When you also look at rockets that try to go beyond the dome and stuff like that, you see that they look like they're going through water, and there's like looks like waves, or whatever you want to call it, and it goes up and then goes down, right? So, and I've shown this too as well, where like you've got like the angle, like the curve of the rockets and the spacecrafts and stuff that they use, and they usually go over water, off the Gulf of Mexico and stuff like that, and then they pick up the remnants and stuff like that, so that people don't see it, and what we call like satellites in space and stuff like that. No, that's within the dome. It's helium balloons, and by the way, NASA uses 98% of the helium that's used throughout the world and sold, and they use it for these what they call satellites, but these helium balloons and stuff like that, with solar panels and stuff like that, and surveillance equipment and multiple other things on these systems, and they go all over the world, right? And I don't know like how long they last now in duration in the sky, but it's at least 90 days, because it was that like even decades ago. And they even like push these like balloons and stuff like that off of sea crafts and aircrafts and stuff like that, like over the ocean, and like trying to get like kites up in the air almost. Where was I going with this stuff? I went on so many freaking tangents. Open migration concerns right now, especially chemicals in the water, like deeply impacting us. So I've talked about atrazine, so many others have as well, and how it turned frogs to be more feminine, and then have fertility issues, and then have more homosexual tendencies. And so that it's in our water systems, and it's at higher rates than even at the frogs levels that they were tested at. And there's also fluoride and other hormones and steroids and antibiotics and stuff like that within our water systems that are not getting properly filtered out, right? So if you're on a well, you're better off. But then if you have people that are poisoning the soil or the sky, you know what I mean, or the water systems in and around your wells and stuff like that, that also is something that needs to be taken into consideration as well. I'm going on these tangents, but even this weekend, luckily we didn't get into any debates or anything like that, like that were too heated. But like my uncles and I, like one uncle in specific, I was talking about the Challenger explosion, how there were not people in it, and that they all survived that, and and they all have lied to us since, the people that are still alive. And there's obviously a couple of them that have since passed away, but but I've shown proof, like of alive and well, and still keeping very similar names, first names and last names, or definitely last names, and or pretending that they had twins and lying about that, and trying to falsify like so many different records, and denying denying it, even though they're the same height, you know, like the similar characteristics, scars, that are in the same places, and would be the same age as you know, like so many different, you know, like things that just prove that these people lied about that. There are people that have died in like in these spacecrafts and aircrafts and stuff like that, but not that one. And there's a lot of proof on that, and it's people that will try to speak the truth on this, like this multi-billion trillion dollar military industrial pharmaceutical complex, that's why these people want this stuff to be kept a secret, right? But like when you have enough, you know, you have so much, and this is why too we need to look at corporations now. And I've said this, that we're like this is a corporatism that we're experiencing like all over the world, and it's destroying us internally, and we're assisting and enabling like the destruction of our societies and our countries and we're being exploited, and we're not seeing it for what it is. I'm going on these tangents, but I forgot where I was even going with that. Yeah, but like we're not free market capitalism, like we're corporatism, and it's not effective. And societies that are more like often have like better qualities of life overall, they're ones that have a free market capitalistic society, not communist, not fascist, not extreme left or extreme right. And I've even showed this on charts as well. Like I'm more like center left leaning, to be honest with you. And I'll even prove it to you, like even on my graph here. Like I've got this graph. This is almost anyways, I said that we're here. Like I said, that the extreme left and right, you got authoritarian on the top of a graph and anarchy on the bottom. And I just want to make sure that you're getting the right yeah, okay. Okay, so that anyway, and so we're in this area here, we're extreme left and we're authoritarian, so we're fascism. And we should be more here, like center left, right, where we're more in control of our own decisions. There's less government control, but there's still government assistance, because we are a larger society, so you do need a little bit more of a presence of government, or whatever you want to call it, that assists with things like roadways and maintenance and education systems and law enforcement and military and stuff like that. Like we need these things. We need healers, so we need doctors and nurses and stuff like that. We need legal systems in place, but like less involvement of government overall, like less in number than they are now, and there's so many other things that we need to change. But anyways, I went on over an hour, and so maybe I need to like short it a little bit. But anyways, yeah, like so my uncle still doesn't believe that the Challenger thing was faked. I'm not sure. Like I think he's half and half on like what he believes about 9/11. So he still doesn't. He believes that it was possibly staged and planned, but he doesn't think it was by like internal government people. Even though I've given him a lot of proof about that as well, and I discussed Building 7 as well. He thinks that it was a plane that did make the buildings collapse. And again, it's not just him, and he's a very smart person. A lot of people do think that, and but like I've said, like they were staged and planned. It was staged and planned. It was in a lot of different like movies and TV shows and cartoons and music, like well in advance of this happening, in plain sight, like hidden symbology all over the place. And then there were people that were taking out insurance claims and stuff like that on the towers within days of this happening, and then people that were not there, that were supposed to be there, like it was only on that day, and why, and then like my flight was rerouted, and like that's why I didn't go on that flight, and all this other bullshit lies. Like come on. so that people could be like seen as it could be deflected, and it could be seen as as an innocent like victim, and not be seen as the people that were actually perpetrating the crimes. And it was a multi-level detonation, ladies and gentlemen. And so even like building 7 that went down first, it went down in a very controlled way, deliberate way, where it wasn't impacting other like infrastructure. And that's exactly what happened with the other towers as well, unfortunately. And I'm not saying that it was like intentionally to like kill people. Like maybe they thought, that the information would have been passed down, and then people not there, right? And then like more measures put in place to make sure that no one was in and around those buildings at all, just in case. And so that there's a lot of like onus that needs to be put on people at all levels. Like, were people that were building, like that were working in that building, did they know of these rumblings going on that were in like that people knew about for a while before, right? And so what did people do at all levels in order to mitigate that from happening? And so JFK assassination, Titanic, even what was going on with Russia, Ukraine, Nord Stream, like the dam. So I can go on. There's a lot more what we're calling whistleblowers in all levels of government throughout the world, and within Canada as well. So we have people within CSEC, Global Affairs Canada, CBSA, which is our Canadian Border Services, and like people within like the RCMP, other levels of government, even like wildlife preservation, forestry departments and stuff like that. Wildlife preserve officers. I don't know the official names, but people that work within within Canada and like various government levels, but to assist with the defense and security and stuff like that. They're speaking out on things that they see as being very suspicious and things that should be warranting investigations. And they're also speaking out on people at the high levels of cabinet, that members of cabinet that are knowingly misleading people and knowingly not giving information that would be needed in order to give us much more informed consent about things that they've been lying about, and they're too afraid to acknowledge this stuff and let this stuff be out. So that's why they're trying to censor us, right? And actually they're not trying to, they are censoring us, and they just put in place another bill in order to censor anyone that wants to speak out as a like myself, like people that are speaking out on the real news, the real reality of the world, what's going on. And because they want people like that's government funded with this current government to be the ones that continue to lie to people, right? And so they want less competition. They want more of a monopoly of what we see and what we hear and what we experience. And it's pissing me off, but it is what it is. Like, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing, and I just like keep on trying to like get around the firewalls. But like my Rumble account viewership is so low, and like my videos, yeah, like they're not elaborate and glamorous and stuff like that, but the content in it is potentially life-saving to people. And so like even like the fact that we're not aspirating needles still, and stuff that I've been talking about since before the vaccines even rolled out in Canada, they're still not being looked at, and this is stuff that is life-saving information, and should be looked at, and the scientific, medical, and government data that I have personally emailed to all levels of government, especially cabinet, every single member of cabinet, and I had the read receipts to prove it, and no responses back 4 years. And like even with mayors and district leaders and you name it, COVID bylaw people, like you friggin' like all levels, and no responses back, but giving information that even about the original trials, how there were 4.6% of the original trials, the healthy demographic that contracted COVID through the trials, and then ultimately they could have spread it to others had they not been, within that trial, and only around people within that trial. And how the original trials were debunked because there was no placebo group, and there were so many other like issues with it that I've shared, and so many countries have had scientific and medical and government people come out and speak out and try to address this, and say that the increases in giant cell myocarditis are directly attributed to this, how SIDS and SADS are as well, sudden infant death and sudden adult death. A lot of these issues are because of inoculations and therapeutics, and yeah, so people are trying to speak out on this, but they're getting censored by people that are just that are outright ranking them, like, unfortunately. And I've said this before too, where there are men, mostly men in my line of work, or or what I'm still actively trying to pursue, because I'm someone that was coordinating hostile environment awareness training, standing rapid deployment team courses, use of force, you name it, and theoretical and practical portions, and advanced firearms training, advanced all that stuff. And then beyond that, I can teach stuff on advanced psychology, on astronomy, astrotheosophy, on this flat Earth stuff. I can teach about the reality of the world, like I've talked before about electricity and magnetism, and about the luminaries, and about free energy and harnessing it, and how we used to have these larger towers, but we had larger infrastructure, and we still do all over the world, the ones that haven't been burned or buried or sunken or covered up and stuff like that we still see all over the world, that I've seen, that we're calling churches and palaces and mosques and parliament buildings and all these other things, stadiums and coliseums and stuff like that. These are old remnants of advanced civilizations where people were living more optimized and more optimized in their environments. And so there were larger trees, there were larger animals, larger plants, larger humans, depending on, again, on the the variant or whatever you want to call it, and who you were procreating with, and stuff like that. But for the most part, there were times when people were more evolved and less evolved, and it depends primarily on natural and or man-made disasters that wipe out civilizations completely, and or try to, and then move on to other areas, and then reestablish and refound areas after they've been wiped out, and then start from scratch, knowingly or unknowingly, based on the generations that survived. And that's why there are people, there's bunkers all over the world, there's underground tunneling systems that people don't know about, there's so much advanced technologies, even using magnetism to transport and teleport, well, not teleport, but transport, things, objects, including humans, from one place to another. And because again, we are electrical magnetic beings. And yeah, so Benjamin Franklin, I talked about this in my other video. I don't know if I talked about it in this video, but he didn't establish or create a way to harness electricity first in the 1700s or whatever he was born. And no, for thousands of years before that, even with the pyramids, pyramid, so fire in the middle, these were also possibly some kind of free energy harnessing capabilities that utilize the luminaries as part of the way to harness energy, and again, with what we see as castles and churches and stuff like that too, even with their with the columns that are within their infrastructure, right? They're there's different columns for different things where you can harness energy and generate different types of frequencies and vibrations, and then it gets stored down and transferred into energy, and you utilize things like gold and silver, platinum and copper and nickel and stuff like that to conduct different rays, or whatever we want to call it, whether it be sun rays or moon rays or whatever rays. And there's a lot that we're not taught within our education systems, or unfortunately by our teachers, our parents, or our government, our mainstream media, even our news outlets and stuff like that. And it's because people are not looking into the actual science and doing their own experiments. I do my own experiments too. I've gone to Carleton University. I've submitted research scientific dissertations to show proof of this flat Earth plane, and the fact that we've been more evolved before and more advanced before, and that we didn't come from monkeys, and that we've had advanced civilizations before that were that were much more, again, evolved. And you look at the what they created, and their art and their music, and the designs of their architecture, and you could clearly see that they were living more in harmony with their environment as well. And these hanging gardens, these huge, beautiful stone buildings that when you can generate heat and generate cold depending on the environment, and keeps cold in longer, and it can keep heat in longer depending on what you where the the temperature is being impacted and stuff like that as well, right? So and then using water systems more as part of their community designs, and beautiful gardens and stuff like that, that people were maintaining, on a regular basis, fruit gardens and vegetable gardens and flower gardens and stuff like that, and herb gardens, collectively, in and around these beautiful water systems, and these stone structures and things like that. And a lot of purpose involved as well, and it's and pleasing to all of the senses, not just the visual senses, but the like all of the five senses as well. And it means to further like accentuate our human experience because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I don't know if I've mentioned before about mass formation, similar to hypnosis. Like you lose like every capacity to function and operate and think critically and step back, and this could be like in like for like protests or riots or concerts or school environments or even like work environments or family environments, like I don't know what you call it, groupthink, mass formation, psychosis, whatever. But it's when people all, you know, are easily swayed into believing something without any like and it possibly not being true. So even with the stage fake planned alien invasion that may or may not be coming this year or like in the future, this has been something that has happened like even thousands of years ago, where there were things in the sky that people saw. This is all in like older scriptures, older books that have not been burned or censored, you know, that we've had access to, and from traveling as well, seeing this on like different cave paintings and wall and stones like paintings and sculpted friggin', you know, hieroglyphs and petroglyphs and stuff like that. But mints, ginger delights, orange flavored. Old infrastructure, blah blah blah. I forget where I was going with that. This is delicious though. Oh yeah, they thought that there were things in the sky, and then as soon as it came close, people were fleeing for their lives. They were terrified, and it turns out that they were holograms in the sky, so things that were fake. So they've seen like aircrafts, they've seen like, you know, different orbs, different luminaries, and like fire breathing things, and then accounts of it being realistic, like looking so real until it got right to our senses, like ability to decipher what's real or not, and then we realized it was they realized it was not real. Anyway, yeah, whistleblowers. I was talking about that, I think, in both these videos, the one from this earlier this morning, one now. We shouldn't be vilifying and attacking and going after what we're calling whistleblowers. These are people that are doing their jobs that you're paying them to do, ladies and gentlemen. If you're paying taxes, or someone that like expects taxes to go to like serve and protect people, then yeah, you would have more honor. Like, so for the RCMP and law enforcement and military and people in other organizations, for anyone that's like supporting and backing and enabling the societal collapse within, you're trying to go after whistleblowers instead of the people that are actually committing the crimes and destroying our country. Like, it's just like, it's so opposite of what you would want, right? Like, you don't want to pay for services that go completely opposite of what of your expectations, right? So if I take my vehicle in to be repaired, I don't want it to come back worse off, like more broken, you know. If I pay for food, you know, if I go to a grocery store and pay for food, like, I don't want to like them to like not only not give me food that I've paid for, but then also like go in my vehicle and take whatever they could out of my vehicle. You know what I mean? When I'm going to a place to try to get goods and services, and so like, yeah, and even with so many other things going on. God damn it, I really wish that friggin' video didn't get disrupted. But that's what I mean. There's just been so many nonstop back-to-back things that one of those things is enough to put like someone in like a friggin' spiral. But like, just like so many things like all at once. Like I was talking about with my vehicle, it's still in the shop. It's been a week. It's gonna be so friggin' expensive, so much money. And I was really wanting to get a 4-wheeler. It was gonna be secondhand, and I was trying to get like a really cheap one, like the cheapest one I could get. And that's going to be on hold for like, I don't even know how long, because like literally the cost, my budget for my quad is literally like, it was less money than what the friggin' costs are going to be from this friggin' like my vehicle to be fixed. And then my biological father like having a heart attack again and being in the hospital. So much stuff. There's just so much stuff. Like literally within like the last couple of days, like within a week, I guess is what you would say, like back to back stuff. And then even the brake line, the brake fluid cap being off my vehicle, very suspicious. And so like, was this something that there was no engine light on my vehicle for the transmission to go? And so was this something that was done intentionally to me, or was this something that it was just a fluke, friggin' some random, breakage of a friggin' transmission when again there was no check engine light. I always maintained my vehicle properly. Like there was no fluids that were missing, like none of that stuff. And weird. And there was like no issues with my gears, like shifting like in and out of different gears, like none of that stuff. If anyone's thinking about that, and like yeah, I talked about AI before, and how artificial intelligence is not inherently like something that's going to be like the solution to our problems, like to be more like advanced or more optimized, right? Like this is something that's it's spiritual in nature. Like we need to, unfortunately, like once we know more of the reality of the world and stop being lied to by people that are exploiting us, then this is when we can evolve and be more optimized in our environment, and not only us but also taking into consideration more every other species on Earth. So not just animals even, but also looking at the plants and the trees especially, and how they are crucial for our like sustaining life on this Earth. And then address the fact that like climate change is not real, like raising sea levels is not real. This is all stuff again that's causing fear and division and exploitation inherently, and psychological abuse and stuff like that, because of a few corporations that are exploiting us, like I keep saying, and they don't care about our outcomes, they care about profits. It's ridiculous. And so they can't procreate or anything like that. AI I'm talking about, and they're not able to think critically, right? They're just like people that read off of cue cards or have planned questions and answers, and they don't go out or deviate off scripts and stuff like that, or they completely ignore people and stuff like that. So AI may or may not have already taken over the world, with human assistance, obviously, but they're not able to like naturally reproduce and or age and or like there's so many other things that they cannot do. So like even though they could possibly again like exploit us because of our vulnerabilities as human beings, like our physical limitations, for example, just like within Universe 25 examples and Stanford prison experiments and so many other behavioral studies. It's always when humans and or other species like Universe 25 with rats, but I would argue Universe 25 is also being done on humans all over the world. This is where we're put in unnatural environments, completely removed from all species or most species, and from like nature and trees and stuff like that, and spiritual connections, and eating more organically and stuff like that, and drinking more shitty water that's like not, that should be way more filtered and properly quality controlled, and limestone and other like filtration systems used instead of what we're doing with the water. And yeah, there's so many things that we could optimize within our environments and become more like closer to our inherent natural designs, because that's when we become more optimized, and that's when all species become more optimized. So trees, right, when they're in nature where there's like wind and rain and storms and sun and moon impacts and like so many other things, this is when they can thrive, right? When they're and when the oxygen around them as well is suitable for them thriving in that environment, and the fertile soil, like the better soil or good soil, not poisoned soil or shitty soil, right? This is when like trees and things can like flourish more, and with the wind giving like resistance to the trees, like the trunks themselves, like this causes trees to actually with that friction or with that stress that's induced, that allows them to get it allows them to get bigger and stronger, because like even when people work out, for example, when like you like keep on doing like heavy weights and stuff like that repetitively, like your biceps are going to get bigger, when you work at things, you get better at things. And so this is like in our environment as well with animals, right? When they have like access to water, freely access to water, all species, they're not fighting for those resources, where animals that wouldn't naturally like coexist together like they would be able to like have like their own, like what they do in other environments where they flourish. They have their own like they're not fighting for survival, so that there's when there's plenty of resources for animals, they're not killing each other for subsistence, because they have what's in their environment. And yes, there's carnivores and there's herbivores and omnivores and stuff like that within these environments. But what I'm saying is when they thrive and there's abundant resources within their environment, then they don't overdo it, and then they have their own like and yeah, they have their own set rules and regulations and stuff like that, and they need less, so, and they consume less, and stuff like that. So like, are we more evolved just because we can like live in houses and create and design things, or are we less evolved because we need more things now in order to survive? And it's getting even worse. We're becoming more reliant on like easy fixes in our lives, where we can now literally like survive like living in a basement in our parents' homes, and get food delivery. People can work from home, play video games, like all these things that making them less healthy and less optimized in their environments, like lack of sunlight, all that other stuff, instead of more. And so same thing with humans. Like people say that humans are shitty. I'm like, well, certain humans are shitty, absolutely, and certain other species can be shitty as well. But they have like other ways of managing, like the species that are antisocial in their behaviors and not helping out the collective. And so look around, ladies and gentlemen. Do more studies, more research on all other species, like ants, like bugs included in that, and you'll see that I'm going on all these friggin' tangents about AI and stuff like that too. But yeah, the way to be more evolved and more advanced and more optimized is to at the individual level do things within our own environments to assist, right? So going out in nature more, going and working out more, like having more healthy conversations with people, trying to be less negative, more positive, trying to like learn about like the reality of the world, understand like creation more, there's so much, like get off social media more, all that other stuff, and filter your water, try to eat more organically, and things like that, and be more empowered in our lives. The Minsk Accords, I don't know if people know about that. That was 2014, 2015. There were people like Russia, France, Germany, NATO, Ukraine that made agreements because of a staged coup within Ukraine. There was these accords were put in place to for a peace treaty essentially, and that was completely not followed at all. And so within Europe as well, like I've said this, that there's people within NATO that were escalating tensions and escalating forces within bordering regions that were not only causing stress within or tensions, I would say, within Russia, but also China and other countries, which is why there was pushback and stuff like that. But was there another staged coup at this time in Russia, or was this something that was like designed and planned by like mainstream media, again with these friggin' like people that are not elected officials, but like criminals and like in charge, again misleading us and making us think one thing, and it not being the case, like just what happened with that Titan submarine going to see the Titanic, when they knew about it right away, that it was an implosion that killed them immediately, that the people that were part of it. And for like days they had us like thinking that there was even like taps being heard every like 30 minutes and all that other stuff to make people think that there was hope. And was that staged and planned too? Because the son of the billionaire, whether it be the stepson or the real son, whatever, of one of the billionaires, he went to a concert, and there was hidden symbology within that with that band specifically, and possibly being part of like the same occult groups that fake people's deaths and stuff like that knowingly. So even Joan Rivers possibly is alive and just like using like a cover, like a face thing, and different short white hair and like glasses, but people doing like the visual comparisons and seeing like that the bone structure, like the facial structures, like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and stuff like that, and like other features like height and like certain mannerisms and voice tells are making people believe that this was possibly her that was seen. And clearly trying to get away from media because of the people that she was with, it was like she was trying to get away with it and make it look like not make it look, but she was trying to divert attention away from her so that like other people would be um, I guess targeted by the paparazzi or media. But it didn't work. I'm going to be skipping over so much stuff. Take a look at Rusicki Farm, sprayed overnight, killed all animals and plants and stuff like that. Rusicki. This was in the U.S. I'm just saying this is another example of clear examples of people like within our own country, well, North America, that and there's nothing being done about this stuff. So even with East Palestine, with what went on there with the terrain derailment and the poisoning of the water systems, these are all things that are staged and planned and deliberate, and we need to pay attention to this stuff and stop being weak and cowardly and address this peacefully and speak to your local mayors, district leaders, or email the cabinet ministers in place within Canada or your Senate. Take a look at who your senator is and stuff like that, and just peacefully people email them, because when people are in survival mode or fight or flight or feel like they're like there's like a threat to them, they shut off their rational train of thought, or their rational logical thinking, their executive functioning skills, and they're scared, right? So they can't even think properly. So you need to be articulate and get your point across, but in a way that's non-threatening, okay? And because you don't like it, you wouldn't like it if it was done to you, so why do it to other people? And then just write like an email that's coherent, logical. I show a lot of references, scientific, medical, and government references on my videos, so you can, and on my stories on LinkedIn and Twitter and Rumble and Instagram and stuff like that. Take the information that you want and attach that into your emails. Or if you're going to phone people, make sure that you have like notes, you know what I mean, and do your research, right, so that you can properly address and conversate, and so that if they come push back, then you know like your side enough to be able to push back again with more informed information. And so there's plenty of it out there, and so the onus is on people, especially if you're a friggin' parent, or a grandparent, or an aunt, or an uncle, you know what I mean, or like whatever, like it doesn't matter, like this involves you, like, and you think it doesn't, but it does, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you are in the world. Like General Dynamics, BlackRock, Vanguard, Lockheed Martin, all Pfizer, Bill Gates Foundation, We Foundation, friggin' all of these organizations are corrupted at the top. And even the CIA was put in place to assist with further enabling perpetual wars in order to be funded for forever, when there's other ways that can be easily used for the defense of Americans, and they don't need to always put them into wars or stage and plan stuff that incites riots and civil war and unrest and division and protests and migration issues and human trafficking and drug cartel issues and murders and other stuff, right? There's other ways it can be used, and a lot of people there don't even know that this stuff is happening, and they're legitimate, good, honorable people that are there to try to make this place, the world, a better place, and for the security and defense of America, and within Canada as well. The people that we have in place, there are a lot of people that are serving Canada in all capacities in order to be of service to Canadians, and unfortunately they're getting duped by a few schmucks that don't give a shit about anyone. They care more about the reputation or the ego even, which is absolutely appalling to me. So much I can get into. I'm going past pages of information about, even with the coup, with the Wagner Group in Russia, longtime friends of Putin, the head of the Wagner Group, and was this something that was just like a fake, that the mainstream media yet again duped us with, or was it a real possible attempt that just after 24 hours ended up just deciding not to, and or was it I don't know, was this a way to make Russia appear weak, and there's so many things that to factor in, and there's so many people that are so ignorant about like the fact that like the Soviet Union, that so many places within Europe were part of, like, you know, like Russia and Ukraine and so many others. The collapse of 91 saw that Ukraine was able to file to be an independent state and then country. So it was only after 91, and then Russia as well became like an independent country and stuff like that after the collapse. And now, because of like, there's border issues because of like certain regions that were supposed to go to certain groups, and or where, you know, like um, just like what's going on in other areas, like with Israel and Palestine, and with like in Afghanistan and places all over the world. There's issues with bordering regions, and who people and people that want, like, that believe that they are living in one country and not another. Even in Canada and the U.S. that are in our border areas, there's people for generations that, like, are still salty for some reason, like that they're considered to be part of Canada now and not American, and then vice versa. There's people that are salty that they're considered American now. For generations, they were seen as American, and because of these border, you know, changes or whatever, like now they're seen as, you know, like, whatever, and it is what it is. But there's people in Kiev and the Donbass region and stuff like that, and in other areas that where there are like people that are Russian speaking, supporting like believe that they're part of Russia or want to be, and and then those that are not. So it's a convoluted area. So for people that said that they want to go back to like pre-91 times before, I don't even know. Like they have no idea what they're talking about. No idea what they're talking about. So I'm going to try to skip through so many notes. Sent up of fascism means of spreading an ideology by resorting to violence. So even anyone that's part of a like a protest, for example, or a riot, like if you're spreading an ideology by resorting to violence, even military, it's fascism. So we need to take a look at that. Oh, I was gonna get into Venus. The other luminaries, and do you know that like Venus has like phases, just like moon phases? There's Venus phases. It's called the morning star, and possibly Lucifer. I'm skipping over so many different things because I think, yeah, like even like corporations, and being more corporatist, like even like McDonald's and stuff like that. Like I don't know if it was this video that I already said this, but like McDonald's is exploiting people. They are like a realty organization. Like they have land and resources all over the friggin' world. And the areas that they have McDonald's, like there's so much pollution, right? Like there's so much excess waste, and it's making people fat, right? And so I'm just gonna say, like these companies, these fast food chains, and mining companies like that are exploiting resources and people. It's making things so much worse, and we are overfed, not underfed. And I've said this in other videos before too, but you can do the stats yourself. And so, like especially in North America, like we have an obesity pandemic, and instead of trying to like be honest with people about their health because of genuine love for people and wanting them to have a better quality of life, people are getting vilified for even trying to speak about losing weight, and yeah, and it's people are trying to embrace unhealthy behaviors that are causing taxpayers billions, actually trillions of dollars a year, because keeping people sick is actually another, like what I was saying, like this military, like pharmaceutical industrial complex. It's also like our healthcare system is not a healthcare system; it's a sick care system in Canada and the U.S. And they work in and around the same friggin' people, like that at the top of these friggin' groups, these companies, like they're all hanging out on the same yachts, the same resorts, going to like the same friggin' parties, and I don't know what they do, like water polo or something like that. Or anyway, it's gonna go into like more stuff. I think we'll leave it at that. And I hope there's a turnaround. Like, I know there's more and more people looking at like a lot more data, science on the reality of the world, especially since the pandemic. And so maybe people are more open to talking to me about this stuff. I would love to go on a podcast. Actually, I would prefer to speak to people at the highest levels of our fucking government in Canada. I will reiterate, I have top secret government clearance, and with the information that I have, and I'm capable of providing, and have before as someone that was even training people at the highest levels of government. Because of what I'm saying, people think I'm, I don't know, they think I'm crazy. I don't even understand why. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, you don't know anything about the reality of the world, and I'm asking you basic questions of what a globe earther should know about the reality of their friggin' world. And so not only am I going to give you proof and facts and stats and science to prove my stance, but you're not going to look at any of that yet, and you know nothing about your side or what you're trying to like literally you would go like dying to defend. It's ridiculous to me. And so like hopefully there's people that are more open-minded, people that can think critically, and just sit down and have conversations about this stuff. I can bring whiteboards and diagrams and stuff like that if they want. And yeah, I guarantee that my videos are all getting censored and monitored within Canada, and being watched by people. So so why don't you take my information, take it up to your freaking chain, and like allow there to be like an open dialogue, and conversations, and we can meet up, if you're not gonna hurt me. And yeah, and discuss this stuff. Like I've done like a lot of courses and teaching and stuff like that on this stuff, and you would be remiss not to do this. And so instead of people like McKinsey getting millions of dollars to lie to us and bullshit intelligence, like these intelligence groups like all over the world that I've spoken to, I'm like, wow, they have no idea about past wars, past like geopolitics, like that, like no understanding of like religions like throughout the world, and ideologies, and so much stuff. And someday, anyway, I think I'm going to leave it at that because my battery is running out, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.